as we can see in here in Genesis chapter 4. Cain is born, or Cain, Cain meaning to gain, to become king, Cain. That is a known term in Central Asia. A Khanate is a kingdom. So Cain became the possessor of land. He killed Abel, the brother. I think that signifies that push toward maybe dominance, toward possessing and ruling over land, and that desire in people's heart toward a tyranny and control and that sort of thing. Cain was angry and his face was downcast. The Lord tries to warn Cain not to kill his brother, not to become angry. As we read in the Bible, do not let the sun go down on your anger. So Cain kept that anger in his heart. Cain said to his brother Abel, let's go out to the field, and he killed his brother. The Lord said to Cain, where is your brother Abel? I do not know, he replied. So Cain leaves eastward from Eden. He goes to the presence of, he goes to the land, toward the land of Nod, or that's Indus, the Indus Valley region, east of Eden. So that would be the Indus Valley area. And I can pull that up on Google Earth. Yes, you can see here the ancient world. I've drawn the ice caps were much larger back then, so the world was smaller. There's a lot more ice throughout this area. But here's Eden right here. So I've drawn the realm of Eden, this whole general area of Eden between the four rivers, Tigris, Euphrates, Pishon, and Gihon. And then the Garden of Eden is also in here. Here's the Garden of Eden area, I believe to be the Garden of Eden. And then Cain would have left eastward toward, of course, the Indus Valley, which is this whole general area at this time. So the Indus, the land of Indu or Indo, or Nod, would have kind of bumped up all the way through here. Really, this was unclaimed land. This was all just open land. So Cain's descendants would have traveled toward the east, over in this general direction. And there's a lot of cities that were built in this area, this as well as down here too. There's some ancient cities in this area. So he builds the city of Unak, which I believe was over here. You have a city called Hangu, and that might be the original pronunciation, Wanak or Wangu. And this was a very ancient city, of course, bordering on the Silk Road in the Himalayas. So Cain would have then gone on to have his children. He has the son Enoch. Enoch bore Ether or Arad. So in the Greek lineage, this would be Cain would be chaos, and I can pull up the depiction of that. Here's a full comparison of the biblical pantheon, the Greek and Roman, the Greek pantheon, Norse pantheon, and the Sumerian pantheon. So you can clearly see Cain, Enoch, Irad, Makuya El, Methusael, Lamech, Vulcan, and Apollo, or Tubal-Cain and Eupolo. In the Greek lineage, it's Chaos, Erebus, Ether, Uranus, Kronos, Zeus, and Vulcan and Apollo. In the Norse, you have Buri, which would be Ether, Bor, which is Uranus, Odin, which would be Kronos, Thor would be Zeus, Uller, and Magni, or Modi and Magni, which I've compared to these two, but I'm not sure exactly the attestations about these two. Uller seems similar to either Apollo or Vulcan. And in the Sumerian, you have Abzu, which is similar to Chaos, sort of this chaotic abyss. Lahamu, Lamu, Anshur, or Ethor. So these seem a little similar in name. Anu or Uranus, so you can see the similarity there. Makuyael would be Uranus, Bor, Anu. In Lil, the god of which became the supreme god in Lil, or in Lul, would be related to Odin, Kronos, Methusael. And I think Shemesh is related to Thor, Zeus, or Lamech. So I think Shamash and his son may have been also called Shamash, which would be Vulcan. So Tubal-Cain, Hephaestus would be Balkan would be Utu Shamash, who reigned after his father. So similar to Zeus and his children, also reigning together in Na, which would be his sister, which would be Nama in the Bible. So this entire Sumerian pantheon is actually listed here in the Bible. You have Zillah, Tubal-Cain, who forged tools out of bronze and iron. Tubal-Cain's sister was Naama, or in Sumerian she's called Naana. So just a simple difference in one letter, which may have been pronounced differently back then. And then Lamech swears that he's killed two people, so he's done the same thing as Cain, but worse. So it seems that he feels that his time is up. He has no chance of redemption or forgiveness. He says, Ada and Zillah, I have killed two men for wounding me, and a young man for injuring me, a man for wounding me, a man for injuring me. If Cain was avenged 7 times, surely then Lamech 77 times. So he says, I've killed two people. I'll never be forgiven. So it's this sense of inheriting the sins of the father, Cain. And then Seth has a son and names him Enosh. Seth was born. And then at that time, men began to call on the name of Jehovah, on the Lord. So men are calling on the Lord now. And you have this war happening in the heavens over in this in this region of the world where Cain lives, and Enoch and Arad, Methuselah, and ultimately Zeus is reigning over these lands under Kronos, his father, or Odin and Thor. And here's Khan Tenre, or Tuner. Here's the mountain of Thor in the Mongolian culture, Tengri Khan, or Tenre Khan, which means the King Tanre. And then you have the Tian Shan Mountains, or Zion, actually pronounced Zion Shan, which means heavenly Zion, or heavenly mountains of Zion, or mountain of Zion Shan, mountains of heaven. So that sounds similar to the Mount Zion of the Bible. That's which is this entire range would be the mountains of Zion. So, which is in the heavenly realm. So the heavenly realm being up here, the earthly realm being down here, the lower altitude where Mount Ararat is. These altitudes are much higher. So I think that this may be reference to the Mount Zion, Mount Zion, in the physical sense, the creation of the heavenly mountains. May also be related to the Himalayas as well. Sham being this entire region. but there's still a part of the Himalayas that are called Sham. There's actually a Sham in the Himalayas over here. It's called Sham or Asham. Bhutan, which the Bible attests to. The men of Asham are also the sons of heaven, the sons of God, and the sons of Cain. So the men of Asham are these demigods of Greek mythology and Sumerian mythology, and they lived somewhere in this general region. And then in Genesis chapter 6, they somehow end up migrating back into this region, and then they marry the daughters of man once again. This could be hundreds or thousands of years later. We don't know exactly how much time went by for these immortals. The Sumerian Pantheon has them living for hundreds of thousands of years, so it's hard to say when all this happened. But they came back into the region, mating with the daughters of man, and then the Nephilim were born, which were sort of cast out of the land. And then we find that the flood happened. So where all this water, you can even see where the water all the ice melted, and kind of through this whole region. This used to be covered with ice. You can still see some of the ice here. This all would have been ice at one time. And this was all ice up here. So this was all ice, 5 miles high of ice walls and ice mountains that all would have melted. And this would have been a cloudy region, kind of a cloudy, misty region through here. So that would be Nephilim, the ice realm, and then the ice all melted down through here, causing the flood. And that's the biblical that's the biblical story of the flood right there happening. So at some point during this time, we find Zeus coming to power and reigning as the king of the gods over the Mount Olympus, and there's multiple Mount Olympuses actually in different areas of the world. There's a couple in Turkey. There's one in Greece, so it's not clear exactly where this would have been happening at, but I think it's more over here. I think this might be the original Mount Olympus, or the heavenly mountain, and I think that the stories might have migrated toward Greece with the Ionians, where they started naming their mountains after the Greek gods. But I think it originally happened over here, because that's actually called the mountain of Thor, or the mountain of heaven, the mountain of Zeus. Odin leaves Asgard and goes to wander in Middle Earth, which is here. Middle Earth would be here, sort of the Middle Earth region, and where he is hung on a tree and takes out his eye, and Odin is granted immortality. And I believe that might be when he sees the coming prophecy of Jesus. So that may be where he becomes known as Melchizedek, the wanderer, the one who lost his ancestral home, lost his place in time, lost his ancestral home. He leaves and comes to Middle Earth, Midgard. Zeus then reigns over heaven, over the heavenly land, under the Olympians. Zeus takes over and reigns, and then we have the Melchizedek priesthood starting, and that may be when, sometime after that, Abraham meets Melchizedek here in Salem. So the stories overlap over periods of time, but we find that Melchizedek is a priest forever in the heavenly in the heavenly account. Melchizedek is a priest forever, so he's been there through the ages of time. He may be the Ancient of Days, having no beginning or end of days. So Melchizedek has always been in this realm, the spiritual realm, able to appear as a priest, perhaps to Abraham.